What I want to talk a little bit about specifically is the use case for those who are involved in creating content, particularly from a faculty perspective, but then also from thinking through a little bit of a macro in terms of designing programs and thinking through content around what new programs and courses need to look like. So I'm going to share a few things that have been useful for me in this process, and hopefully they'll be helpful for you. So the first thing that really kind of encapsulates all of that for me is we're talking about using our time more efficiently. So some of the things that have been talked about today have been around the use of AI in terms of teaching and learning. And there's certainly a lot of great applications in that regard. And I think that's very apropos. But this particular instance is really just about efficiency and time saving. So, like I say on the slide there, minutes, not days, and hours, not months. So, how can we leverage the time that we now have, perhaps to put into other things that maybe are completely human, and leverage the AI tools we have to help us in different ways? So, I'm going to talk specifically about creating videos and media content for a few minutes because that has been one of the things that, from a learning design perspective, and certainly from an LXD program perspective, is one of the things that is most costly, takes the most time, and has the most amount of jeopardy often attached to it. So, let alone budgets and things like that as well. So that's been one of the things that for a long time has been an issue to try and solve. And at the same time, we know that video, in particular, is one of the things that went from very quickly being a sort of a nice to have or linked to some YouTube videos or things like that to something that there was a clear expectation amongst many institutions and businesses that they would have high quality video, video that could be sort of almost Hollywood-esque, if you like, and it was high quality and all the rest of those things. And that required all the things on the left-hand side of this column. Lots of storyboarding, lots of studio booking and issues and recordings and all of that. The technical skills needed for editorial and all of that just really made things slow and hard and difficult and time consuming. And now, when it comes to thinking through how we can leverage AI for that, it allows faculty members themselves to become much more empowered in creating high quality videos. They can create them from anywhere, they can do them very quickly, and they can create new ones with the minimal fuss. So it stays relevant and becomes effective over the long term. So I'm going to talk about how you might do that if you're a individual faculty member thinking through how do I do this, or if you an LXD professional thinking how can I tell other people to do this. There are some ways that have already been discussed, which I'll just kind of run through here. Obviously, thinking through what it is you want to say is still pretty important, although you now have some help in figuring that out. So you can take your content, you can put it into some different forms, churn it through some different AI, and get yourself a decent looking script that you might want to use. Then you can refine that content and you can think through how to do that more effectively, and then even train some custom GPTs to give you the sort of feedback that you're looking for on a consistent basis. So if video production is something that you do a lot of, and it's something you need to continue to do well, then I think creating your own GPT that will just know exactly what it is you're looking for, your style, the standards that you're looking for, as well as the sort of audiences that you are creating these videos for, it'll just help you refine that process even further. And then, as I say, you think about your script. What is that going to look like? I worked with faculty many times in the past and had this issue myself in thinking through what do I want to say on the screen and how does it actually work? Go through multiple takes, and that just is frustrating. Now you can sort of have that base script generated for you. You can obviously, and I suggest that you edit that quite seriously and add your own anecdotes, add your own statistics, stories, and pieces to that that you'd want to make it your own, of course. Review it, make sure it's at the right level, and then you're ready to go. Then you can actually add in your own visual elements. I'll show one tool in particular that I think is pretty useful to use, but there are multiple If you could look back through some of the recordings today, I think you'll find other people have spoken about other tools. Obviously, Canva is one of those big ones. I won't talk about Canva today. It's already been spoken about, but that is certainly one that allows you to create great images, video, B-roll footage, things like that you can bring in pretty quickly. And then we think about audio production. So I'll demo very briefly the creation of clones. And this is where I think that we have a great opportunity as faculty members. I remember many years ago watching a movie called Multiplicity. Some of you might remember that movie, Michael Keaton in that movie. And in that movie, he clones himself in three different ways, or three or four different ways. And it didn't go too well for him in the movie at the end. But we're kind of in that space now where we almost get to clone ourselves and create videos and things without actually having to get behind the studio or even get behind the Zoom room camera and do that. So you could create a voice clone for yourself in multiple different platforms these days. We've heard about Well Said Labs. Well Said, we use 11 labs in our company to do that. Those are both great platforms to use to create clones, and they're pretty good versions of those. And the great thing about creating cloned voices and even cloned video is that you can translate those very quickly and very easily. So if being able to put your content in different languages is important to you, that's one way to do that for sure, very quickly. So all you have to do is you upload your script, you add your graphics, you create your clone, and then you generate your video. So let me show you a little bit of what that looks like from my perspective and what we've done in the past. So it starts with good content. So using something like Notebook LM, which I'm a big fan of, to actually put some content in there. You can create something that gives you mind maps, briefs, all those kinds of things. So from that, a Notebook LM, which you can put a lot of data into, you can ask it to create for you a really good brief on a specific topic about your content. Once you've done that, you can put it into, as I mentioned earlier, GPT or something similar to that, and ask it to create a script for you, which you then refine and can add some edit to. And the tool that I use after that that really helps get some good imagery together is called Napkin. You go to Napkin and you can take your script, put it in there, and it'll create graphics for you, just like the couple you see on the screen there. Most of those are diagrammatic type images, which can be really useful if you want to use them for PowerPoint slides or things like that as well. And you can make them accessible as needed.
I'm your Express avatar. It's nice to meet you. Let's create something awesome together.
So then the next step is to create an avatar of yourself. So this one's a little tacky, but you can see it's me, sort of. And so I use DID for this, and you just go in and you create a clone of your voice and of your image, and then you can take that cloned image and use it on any video that you want to create moving forward. What you do is you simply take that image of yourself, and then you take your script that you've already imported or created through GPT or whatever else, you copy and paste it in, it'll synchronize it all for you, and then you have multiple ways in which you can put that onto different backgrounds and different images, and even put it into PowerPoint slides, etc. And there, what you can essentially do from that is create videos of yourself giving lectures in your voice, and you're not actually having to take the time to go into the studio and do all of that work. Another alternative is to use something like InVideo, which simply responds from a prompt that you give, and you can throw that prompt into InVideo if you're looking for introductory videos or things that actually don't really need to have your influence on them. They're just agnostic to a faculty member. You can create nice little intro videos free using InVideo, and it just takes a couple of seconds to generate something. So I want to change tack for the last few minutes and talk about how we can use AI to help us create course objectives and competencies for our programs. Having worked in administration for many years, I know that creating new programs and creating outcomes and competencies for them can take months to do, multiple committees, lots of disagreement. But we've recently partnered with Competency Weaver, which I'll give you the details at the end of this, to really help fast forward that process. So the way Competency Weaver works is it uses a series of LLMs to actually work together and synchronizes that for you so that you can create program offerings pretty quickly. So, for example, if you were wanting to create a new program in AI and machine learning, for example, you just go ahead and in the platform, you type in the subject, maybe you have an overarching description of what that program is supposed to be or that series of courses is supposed to look like. From there, it'll actually take that subject matter and it'll run it through a system that scrapes the web for job postings, Indeed, and all those different places. That'll show you how that particular topic shows up in a number of job descriptions or things that people are looking for on LinkedIn. And we'll put them against the KSA a rubric. And from that, you can select which ones you want to have your program concentrate on. From there, you can ask it to create competencies for your program, which of course you can edit along the way. And you can ask it to create a series of 4, 6, or 10 different competencies, as many as you want. And once you're happy with what that looks like and you've edited it successfully, you can then ask it to create specific outcomes, learning outcomes for each one of those competencies. So you have your macro program objectives, and then you kind of synchronize them into what you might think of as specific course objectives or lead up competencies to those macro competencies. Again, as many as you want, you just tell it the number that you want in there. From there, this is kind of the really cool part, I think. Once you have all that done, which by the way can often take a long time to do in the old way of doing it, once you have that, it actually automatically puts that into an order for you, which you might consider the sequence. So if the first part is the scope, this is the sequence, and that sequence will give you a series of course experiences or what they call sessions, but we might just call them course experiences, and the order in which those course experiences might go to match up with the competencies that you have already created and the learning outcomes that are there. And then from that, you can actually go on and build some more activities and role plays specific to that course, that competency you're looking for. So it really saves tons of time. And the folks over at Competency Weaver will give you a free demo and a free opportunity to kind of get into their program, which I highly recommend. And here's the QR code that you can use to go ahead and go on their website. It's competencyweaver.ai. You'll get an ability to kind of look at that competency creator and some of the things I didn't get a chance to show you, which was some of their rubric generators, which again are based on all the competencies and sub-competencies that you create, as well as the role play generator as well, which I think is really interesting. So I think I'm just about at my time, so I'll stop there and see if anybody has any quick questions.
That was great, Darryl. Thank you so much for sharing those tools. I hadn't heard of Competency Weaver. I'm going to have to go play with that. That
Yep.
feels like a game changer for sure.